Hi guys, Jonathan Chan with JChownGolf at Croydon Park Golf Club in Essex, and today what we're going to talk about, how we can swing more from the inside in a downswing, how we can swing more from in to out to really hit that draw shot maybe some of you guys really want to hit. So if you're a guy out there who really struggles with a slice and you have no clue on how you can go about hitting a draw shot, you might know you've got to swing from the inside out, but that's probably all you know. We're going to tell you how to really create that path easily every single time. There's a couple steps you need in there to be able to do it, which make it a hell of a lot easier. So before we get into that, please make sure you like. It helps out my channel load, so make sure you hit that like button. Really make sure we get this info out to as many golfers as possible, and make sure you subscribe as well, because I put out a nice 3 to 4 nice easy to understand golf instructions every single week. So how we're going to hit inside to out shots. So in the downswing, we're making sure that club is more traveling around behind us, going through the ball inside to out. Now, what we've got to understand with this problem is there is a way for you to swing and, let's say, get yourself in a position in the top of the backswing to make sure this move happens more often than not. So when I see a lot of slicers out there, the first place they really go wrong with this is where they are at the top of the backswing. And I can really see from there, there's no point of them doing anything really when it comes to drills to swing from into out. If they're at this top of the backswing position, they're gonna have a hard time doing it. And that's when they're swinging up to the top of their backswing, they'll have their hand, see how it's really close to really where my neck is, almost my head. You can see a lot of my right shoulder here. Now that's called a lack of depth at the top of the backswing. Now, when we have a lack of depth, especially with those hands, depth being how far up or back I am, if I just turn in a downswing and I turn from this position of a lack of depth, I'm going to naturally have that club fall on the outside. Because what we got to know is when we rotate in the downswing and we have our first move there, our first rotational move, and shift into that left side, our hands will naturally move outwards. They will naturally move out in front of us. Now you can imagine if I'm right at the top of my backswing, just like this, really high hands, they're right over my neck here. If I turn in a downswing properly, I'm going to be way out to win. I'm going to be way out to win. So from there, I'm going to have to do so much to be able to, I have to do so much to be able to get on the inside there. I have to kind of lose my shoulder tilt. I have to back aggressively, where one, I could really hurt my back doing that. And two, I'll really hit the ball pretty poorly. I probably won't achieve what I want to achieve anyway. So making this move happen naturally, we want to make sure those hands at the top of the backswing getting more behind us. Now this isn't necessarily flat. This isn't doing a flat backswing where we're round here. We're not Matt Coutring it back there. We are making sure that when we're getting back, we're having good rotation of our body, because that good rotation of our body really makes sure we turn those hips, those shoulders. That's going to get our hands nicely behind us. Because if we make a backswing where, let's say, I'm not rotating that much and I'm just trying to pick it up with my arms, my hands are never going to get that far behind me unless I physically force it and drag it round. That's how you can get that flat backswing. But if I, let's say, rotate properly and I really turn my hips, turn my shoulders, you can see how those hands now are a little bit more behind me. So when I turn in the downswing and shift, that club naturally gets in the right spot, albeit the sequencing being right as well, which we'll get into in a little bit. So we've got to make sure that depth is back there. We've got to make sure our hands, instead of being over our neck, are a little bit more behind us. So you can see how my left arm here is more across my chest, not up here by my chin. I want it over and across my chest here. So again, I can turn and it's going to fall on path naturally. This is how a lot of guys out on tour, if they're not changing their alignment and let's say they're set up to dictate their shot, they'll be doing it more this way. And this is a really consistent way of getting it into one position at the top of the backswing can massively affect your downswing. It's the biggest thing I see out there for guys who do struggle with drawing the ball. They have no depth at the top of their backswing and they're just making it hard for themselves to get on plane. So we can see there, really making sure, nice rotation, getting those hands behind us will make getting it on path a lot easier. So that's the first step in there. Depth, got to get up there through good rotation. Second part is sequencing. So let me shift this about. Let me shift you to another point in the driving range so I can show you this great little drill for sequencing. So guys, sequencing in the downswing, what we've got to do when it comes to this. Now this is again, probably the second reason why I see most guys trip up with, let's say, trying to hit a draw shot is they have their sequencing wrong. And what we mean by sequencing, we mean the order in which things move in the downswing. Now, what I see quite often with guys who really struggle with drawing the golf ball, where they really struggle with slicing the ball, they'll get up to the top of their backswing. Maybe it's in a bad position, maybe it's in a good position, like we talked about before with depth. But let's say they're in a good position with depth, and let's say they go and they really make sure their upper body, so their upper body is going first, and it's out racing their lower body. You can see straight away how my path shifts and goes to outwards in there. They really get an overactive upper body, which forces swing path out to in. So if we have that upper body go first, regardless of where we are at the top of the backswing, we are always going to be out to win. So what we ideally want of the best sequencing of events, we want it going from ground up. So we want our lower body going first, shifting into that lead side, rotating, and really making sure that that upper body is really hanging back a little bit or pointing back, because we want the rotation to slow down in that upper body at the start of the backs or downswing, and then we're letting it come through there. We want that rotation being with that upper body quite really late and through that ball there, if we want to make sure we're swinging a little bit more into out. So why I've moved the camera to where it is now, move you guys over, is because we're going to use this wall here. Now what we're going to do with this wall, this is the best drill in my opinion for sequencing, because if I stand up against this wall here and I swing to the top of my backswing, I can work on depth at the same time. Stand a little bit far away, I can make sure my hands are behind me, so I'm in this top of the backswing position here. If I go out of sequence, which a lot of guys do, so overactive upper body, see how straight away my club detaches from the wall, doesn't it? Detaches from the wall. You can see straight away as well, me over exaggerating, club's going really out. So what we want to ideally do, we want to turn our lower body, shift our lower body to the left side, and drag this down, drag that club down the wall. There we go, dragging it down the wall. You can see here how that club is now falling on a more into out path. You can see as well for me, I'm actually practicing depth at the same time as well, getting to this wall. Because if I'm standing too close, I can't really do it properly. I need to be standing a good distance away from it. Really, if anything, probably about half a club, probably about half a club's distance. Standing there, we want to exaggerate the feels, slide down that wall, really slide down. You can see how my upper body's hanging back, my lower body's turning and shifting. And you can see how long my zipper is pointing at the camera for as long as possible. So that's one big thing to do. Now this is a great one because you could do this anywhere. You just need to make sure you've got a wall. If your wall's concrete, flip your club over, do it that way. So make sure we're not damaging the club face. So it's a really great way to train sequencing. The best one, if I have lessons who struggle with really slicing the ball and they want to hit more of a draw shot or maybe calm their slice down, this is one of the first things to go, and it works every single time. So make sure you're getting that element in there as well. The sequencing, depth and sequencing, and you'll be a lot better. So let's go back again. So guys, as we can see, we've got our two little keys there to make sure we're swinging more from in to out, a more into out path. And we can see how, funnily enough, top of the backswing is probably one of the most important things to get yourself swinging from in to out. Otherwise it's going to be too difficult, making sure we've got the depth of those hands up there, so we can make sure as we're turning and that club is falling on a proper path like it should do. And then after that, we can see we can be up here, and if we get the sequencing of events wrong, and let's say we get our upper body going too fast, we'll have that too much over movement. So be a great one for you guys to do out there will be practicing this, getting that depth through a good turn, getting those hands back behind you, and practice with that wall drill. So you're getting the sequence, getting it to drag down the wall and then turning through, really getting it to drag down nicely and then turn yourself through. And then once you get that feeling, get down to the driving range. If you can have a play around with a wall at the driving range, it'll be perfect, be absolutely perfect. And then we'll just have that same feeling. I'm getting the depth and I'm making sure I'm getting that club dragging down that wall and making sure my body is turning whilst I'm doing that. And we'll probably get a nice drawy flight. Good, a little bit chunky as well, but I haven't hit too many balls. So really make sure that's in there, guys. So make sure you're really making sure you're dragging that club down that wall and getting that good depth. Come on, we can't finish on that shot. That was awful. Let's do that again. So nice drawy one. Depth, dragging club down the wall. There we go. That shot, much better. Nice, gentle little draw out there. If you guys want to do that and you're not doing any of these two things, you're not going to hit that draw shot. So make sure you get that and you'll be drawing it every single time. So if you like that video, guys, of course, click that like, press that subscribe, and you'll really be up to clues with how you're going to do these little things in your golf swing. So make sure you get on that, guys, and you'll be drawing the ball in no time.